subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave a like, notification bell, links below my video, Patreon, my Patreon, and my t-shirt from Teespring. Alright. Egyptian Tarot reading for humanity on the month of December 2019. So things are, yeah. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We got Christmas coming up. The winter for most of humanity, like Northern Hemisphere winter, is a time of relaxation generally. Like, things aren't as serious as they are during spring or summer or even fall. As well as there's potential of learning from having less sunlight, I guess, and more dark. So it's kind of like as you're growing up as a kid and the lights were off and it was dark in your room and you saw things that weren't there because when you turn the light on you realize, oh, that's my coat on the chair, that's not a monster. Or, you know what I mean, like things aren't as they appear. The media isn't what they appear to be. They don't get paid to tell you the truth. Let's just say that. Okay? Anyone telling you the truth is not going to get paid to tell you the truth. And that's why I do these videos. And I don't charge you for them. You might have to pay for your phone service or your phone or your internet or your computer, but I'm not charging you for that. That's not that has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to spread the truth and the messages for you, and I don't want anything in return for it. The truth shall set you free, and I like to be free. I hold freedom up on the top. It's like one of the most important things. So, earthquakes, volcanoes, it looks like things are setting up this month. They're not actually going to pop off because it's getting really cold, same with January. But because the pressure is getting held back when it needs to be relieved, I think it might lead to some major devastation next year. And then those who are being facetious or devious or lying to people are going to get exposed more frequently and a lot sooner than they it's not going to be years later. It's going to be days later, weeks later, months later, but not years later. Now things from years ago that haven't been exposed will be continuously be exposed. But as far as actions right now being exposed that are happening right now, it's not, like I said, they're not going to be able to bury things like they used to. They used to be able to, like the JFK assassination, they buried that, and then years, like 50 years later, we finally get, the documents, but they're all blacked out spots, but pretty much you can conclude the CIA killed him. If you don't believe me, go look up JFK files released from the government and see them for yourself. A lot of people think the moon landing was fake. I don't believe the moon landing itself was fake. Like an actual landing on the moon, I don't think that was fake. Now, the footage, the videos, may be fake. And I'm going to tell you why they were faked. Because when they went up there, they got footage of things that they don't want the public to see. So they faked the video and said, hey, this is what actually was on. But in reality, that's not what was on, because that was in the studio. But they did go to the moon. So, for those of you who are like, oh, the moon landing is fake, you're half right. For those of you who are like, the moon landing isn't fake, you're half right. And that's where the truth usually lies. It's half of the people on one side are right and half on the other are right. So that's just how the way the cookie crumbles. So back to December for humanity. How things are going to come out and play. 2019. Stock market looks like it didn't really go down. It actually did the opposite of what I thought it would do. It went like that, kind of. It knew. So I think it might stay at that level. Bitcoin, however, and cryptocurrency did go down, like I told you. I think it was in September. I said, oh, it's going to go. And it's going to continue doing that. And people are like, well, why do you think that? Why do you believe that? Because China owns most of the cryptocurrency, and they are running out of money, and so they're selling cryptocurrency to get funds instead of, like, everything they own isn't putting out money for them. They're because they have too many people, and it's pretty much putting a lot of pressure on their society. And there's a lot of things they've told their society that they are like, I'll just wait until this time and keep doing what you're doing, and then we will have a prosperous country and it'll be magnificent. Lies, people. They're all lies. China's gonna start having riots and rebellions here soon. Same with the Middle East and Africa. And then it's just gonna be the dominoes that fall into getting the whole world to do a world revolution, like I've been saying. We need a world revolution. 2/3 of the population wants to revolt against 1/3 of the population. If you're part of the 1/3 population, it ain't looking good for you, let's say that. That 1/3 that wants to control everyone and be part of the hierarchy system that's about to crumble. Hierarchy system cannot exist if there's going to be world peace. Simple as that. And when I say hierarchy system, I'm not saying like, having leaders and then, that kind of thing. I'm talking about the current House of Cards hierarchy system that was developed over hundreds and thousands of years. And it has no real legitimacy to stand on its own. And then what else we got here? The whole terrorist stuff going on in Europe, ISIS or whatever, showing up in these, because there was that shooting on the London Bridge or whatever. Okay, look. Ask yourself this. Muslims and Christians both have a problem. As far as like social problem. What that social problem is they have a small percentage of their religion that are extremists, okay? There are more extremists in Muslims, unfortunately, right now in today's world than there are in Christians, but there was a time when it was the other way around. What I'm saying is Christians have a bad stigma from KKK, Ku Klux Klan, okay? They're the extremists of Christianity, okay? There are probably others, but they're the big one, the big name. And then Muslims have the ISIS. Alright, so that doesn't mean all Muslims are the religion, or none of that. It doesn't mean any of that. People want to, Muslims are, the religion is just like, no. ISIS members believe, like the KKK members, an extreme version of their religion, and manipulate people into that. So that is what it is, and I am sure this is true for most religions, especially from the Abrahamic religions. But people are waking up, and those good people in those religions are not gonna. We're gonna come together and oust those extremists. Okay. Things aren't going to be all dark, doom and gloom, as far as like World War or people just like in the movies, like Bedlam or like Chaos, where nobody cares for other people and they're just killing each other like crazy, or Purge or something like that. That's like what they want you to do, so that way you're not actually focusing on the problem instead of coming up with solutions through protests or riots. So, and another thing with riots is there's always the potential for those with the money and power to influence a small minority to join the protesters and do things the protesters wouldn't do, and make it look how horrible these protesters are. They're destroying property and whatnot. No, those are paid clowns. Actually, they're not even worthy of being called clowns. They're just paid bullies and paid people who are a waste of life. Okay, it's not very many of those, but they're out there. They're the minority. They're the true minority, okay? And they're in every race and religion. And they'll do anything for a buck. They'll do anything to feel like they're in control or have power. You know, the whole psychopath or serial killer thing. Just because they haven't killed anyone yet doesn't mean they're not a serial killer. Remember, 7% of the population, 7% of people have the potential of being a serial killer. And then there's another 7% that aren't them, that are completely opposite side of the spectrum. So you have the 7% down here that are serial killers, and you have 7% up here who are willing to kill those people like that, no problem. Without even second guessing themselves or like giving them a chance. They'd be like, oh, you're done. Bye. And they're like the defenders and protectors. They're like the white blood cells. While these guys over here are like the bacteria. Now you do need some bacteria to kind of like keep people from doing stupid things. So, but you don't let bacteria control or take over. Tell you that. That's probably why there's a fascination with zombies, because it's a mirror of image of humanity on a metaphysical level. Because the psychopaths are running the world. But that's all about to change. That's all about to change. We're going to lose control very quickly. And this whole impeachment stuff, it's just a way to waste time, okay, by doing what their base wants. Democrats, they want to impeach the president because he's racist, he's sexist. I'm like, you're all hypocrites. It's the ultimate manipulation. Getting the your opponent or your enemy, or your opposing whatever, getting people to believe that person, your enemy, your opponent, is doing things that you're doing. Yeah, like, it's like me going and breaking into my neighbor's house and then saying my other neighbor that's on the other side of them, I saw them do it. They did it. Even though I'm the one who did it. That's exactly what Democrats do. The politicians, not people. And you die-hard Democrats who are like getting uppity and all uptight and butthurt about what I'm saying, you're one of them. You're exactly what I'm talking about. It's all good. Hopefully you wake up, and if not, you're going to be on the bottom of the totem pole. Having people to not really care about you. Just stuff life. First card we have here is the represents humanity's characteristics, base personality, as well as general attitude towards life. And it's the Queen of Swords. The Lady of Revenge. A woman brandishes a long dagger threateningly. Positive, woman alone or widow with a difficult character. Separation, melancholy, sterility, feeling of revenge. Negative, malice, bigotism, falsity, hypocrisy, ill-intentioned woman. Hillary Clinton. Oh, sorry, slipped. Tremendous revenge. So the second card is the problems currently affecting humanity, and this deck calls it sacrifice, which is the hanged man. And the hanged man says, Pitois' pack was represented by a man hanging by a foot from a plank placed on 2 trees, each having 6 cut branches. The hands of this man were tied behind his back, and the bend of his arms formed the base of an upturned triangle, with his head as the apex. It is the sign of violent death due to a fatal accident or the expiation of a crime, or accepted through heroic devotion to truth and justice. The 12 cut branches portray the extinction of life, the destruction of the 12 houses of the horoscope. The overturned triangle symbolizes catastrophe. Remember, O Son of Earth, the devotion is a divine law that no one is absolved from, but do not expect anything but ingratitude from men. Keep your spirit, therefore, always ready to justify its deeds to the eternal, because if the Arcana sacrifice appears in the horoscope, violent death will set its traps along your path. But if the world makes an attempt on your earthly life, do not expire without accepting this end on the part of God with resignation, and without pardoning your cruel enemies. So I guess we have to forgive, but we can't let them do what they want to do, but we can't act on revenge. We gotta forgive, because those who do not pardon are condemned after this life to eternal solitude. Positive, disinterest, altruism, repentance, inner search, idealism, utopia, art, detachment from matter, moment of transition, punishment, mystic ascent, initiation, illumination. Negative, egoism, delusion, imposed sacrifice, illusion, unrealistic projects, vain attempts, lack of will, pain, serious illness, impossibility of action, constraint. And that was the current problems for current problems affecting humanity. Alright, so the third card is family environment with the King of Wands. Land of fertility. A prince raises the wand of earthly power. Positive, good relationship with an authoritative but cordial man, mature man, father of a family or company manager. Negative, advice that needs to be followed. Austerity, awe for a stronger power. So the family environment sounds like it's pretty good. Moving on. Number 4 indicates relationships with children, education, and preferred pastimes or pleasures. So we got the Lover's card. Lover's card is represented by a man standing immobile on the corner formed by the junction of 2 roads. His eyes are fixed on the ground and his arms crossed over his chest. 2 women, one on his right and the other on his left, place one of their hands on his shoulder, showing him the two roads. The woman on the right has her brow bound with the golden circle and personifies virtue. The one on the left is crowded with divine shoots and represents the tempera vice. Above this group, the genius of justice, gliding in a dazzling halo, tightens his bow and directs the arrow of chastisement towards vice. The whole of this scene expresses the struggle between passion and conscience. Remember, O son of earth, that for common men the attractions of vice are more prestigious than the austere beauty of virtue. If the Arcana Lover's card appears in your horoscope, take care of selecting your solutions. Obstacles in front of you block and the road you are looking for. Opposing probabilities glide around your head, and your will facilitates between opposing parties. In all cases, indecision is more disastrous than a bad choice. Go forwards or retreat. But remember that a chain of flowers is more difficult to break than a chain of iron. Positive, trial, exam, attempt, important choice in the effective professional or commercial field, and others. A decision is necessary. Marriage, pledge, pact. Negative, falsity, temptation, guilty love, failure in a trial, unfaithfulness, separation, love not exchanged, missed promises, indecision. So, family court potentials might be arising, so be careful. But not making a choice is probably worse than making a choice. So this is where discernment comes in. Number 5 represents travels, plans, and correspondence. And we had the Ace of Chalices, or Cups, whatever you'd like to call it. Osiris's soul. A chalice, symbol of Osiris's heart, is protected by 2 papyruses that act as a gateway between worlds. Below there is the amulet that gives the power to free oneself from every impediment. Positive, great joy, abundance, start a new love, family celebrations, worldly pleasures. Negative, negative changes, instability, involution, scars, results, small problems. So, traveling for Christmas could be good. Do your diligence and plan and get ahead of yourself and know what's going to happen. Check the weather. And then the next card is interesting. So number 6 represents indications about study companions, work colleagues, or business partners, and it was the Magician. The Magician is represented by the magician, an example of a perfect type of man that is in full possession of his physical and moral faculties. He has been painted standing in an attitude of will ready for action. He is clothed in white, symbol of original and re-attained pureness. A serpent biting its tail serves as his belt, the symbol of eternity. His forehead is bound by a circle of gold. Gold signifies light, and the circle expresses the universal circumference within which created things gravitate. His right hand holds a golden scepter, implying command that he raises towards the heavens, and the sign of aspiration towards wisdom, science, and strength. The index finger of his left hand points towards the ground, signifying that the mission is perfect. The mission of perfect man is to reign over the material world. This double gesture also expresses the fact that human will must reflect down below divine will in order to produce good and impede evil. There is a cup, a sword, and a shekel, or gold coin, in the middle of which a cross has been engraved. In front of the magician on a cubic stone, the cup signifies the mixing of the passions that contribute to happiness or unhappiness. according to whether we are their masters or slaves. The sword signifies work, struggle against obstacles, and the trials that pain makes us suffer. The shekel, symbol of determined value, portrays aspirations, realized, completed works. The sum of power, conquered by will's perseverance and efficiency. The cross, seal of the infinite, that marks the shekel, announces the future extension of this power to the spheres of the future. Remember, O son of earth, that man must act like God without pause. To want nothing or to do nothing is no less grievous than to want or do evil. If the magician appears among the prophetic signs of your horoscope, he is announcing that strong will and faith in yourself, guided by reason and love for justice, will lead you to the objective you want to reach and will preserve you from danger on your way. Positive. Initiative, dexterity, astuteness, political skills, diplomacy, ability, autonomy, refusal of any suggestion of prejudice, start of sentimental, professional, or economic undertakings. Negative, unscrupulously ambitious, swindler, profiteer, liar, charlatan, will at the service of evil. Alright, number 7, profits, wealth, estate, and property. And we have the 6 of Wands. Six of Wands, Anubis scepters, the god of the dead, hidden behind the interlacing of phenomenal reality, represents the fleetingness of earthly conquests. Positive,